The Supreme Court has 4 weeks remaining in this session to issue decisions on 27 different cases. Topics before the court range from affirmative action to student loans and follow a controversial slate of decisions in 2022. In West Virginia versus the Environmental Protection Agency, the court rolled back the EPA's ability to regulate the energy sector. In New York State, the court ruled against a law that required people applying for a license to carry a gun outside of their homes to have proper cause to do so. In the beginning of the year, the court voted to block President Biden's mandate that would have required employees of major companies to either receive a COVID vaccine or be tested weekly. And of course, the court voted to overturn Roe versus Wade last summer, going against 50 years of precedent. What is going on with the court? Joining us now, the president of the Brennan Center for Justice, Michael Waldman. His latest book, out today, is entitled The Supermajority: How the Supreme Court Divided America. And I got a lot of questions for you. I've got Clarence Thomas questions for you, Harlan Crow questions for you. But first, tell us about the book. What did you set out to do here?
I wanted to look at this first year of the supermajority of 6 very conservative justices, mostly lockstep, mostly working together, because they have enormous power. That's the way it works in our system. We give the court this power, and they wound up being very extreme, very high impact in the rulings they made. As you mentioned, the Dobbs case overturning Roe v. Wade, the case that was by far the most sweeping Second Amendment ruling in the country's history, a case that made it much harder for environmental protection and other protections to happen, all in 3 days. They crammed decades of conservative social policy into those 3 days, and they've got more to come. And I think this is a big issue for the country. I wanted to understand how it happened, what happened in the past when the Supreme Court overreached, and what we can do about it.
So we were just talking about how 27 decisions in the next few weeks. What did you learn about how they get along?
One of the things is that they depend on this kind of silence to be seen as oracles. But over the last year, they've been attacking each other in public. You had the leak of the Dobbs decision and all other kinds of things. And it looks like there may be a bit of a breakdown of trust at the Supreme Court. Some of this is just the intensity of fighting over these issues, over the big rulings that are coming up. And it's also a little bit of kind of don't save your work for the last minute.
Yeah, there's that, Eugene.
There used to be a world in which any one of those cases that Mika just named off that are left and also that have been decided over the last year would have been the last thing, and there have been 1 or 2 of them. That has happened over and over. What does that tell you about the court system in this country?
Right now, these justices are feeling their oats, and they are using their power, and they're being very aggressive in how they're pushing this conservative agenda. Part of the challenge is the Supreme Court in our system has this power because we, the people, give it that power. The part of the Constitution that deals with the courts is only 1/10 the length of the part dealing with Congress and the presidency. But we have to rely on them to be like judges, to be above politics. They're acting very politically right now, and the dilemma, the dynamic that we have is the country is moving in one direction. A lot of these opinions were very unpopular, and the court and these justices are moving hard in the other direction. That creates a crisis of confidence and a political crisis.
I think you just half answered my next question, but what are some of the biggest challenges for the Supreme Court in the years to come, given the scenario you're describing right now?
Public confidence in the court, according to all the polls, has collapsed to the lowest level it's ever been. But they don't seem ready to stop. It looks like they're going to end affirmative action in higher education. They're going to finish the job of gutting the Voting Rights Act. These are big political, not legal decisions. And these are 9 government officials with lifetime terms. And they're not elected, and that's a challenge for our sense of democracy.
Just really quickly, do you see anything coming of the Harlan Crow situation with Clarence Thomas, where he funded a lot of his lifestyle? I know there's no law against it.
Yeah,
but
some of it.
There's a problem.
Some of it did violate the rules, the meager rules that were in place.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
And at this point, remember, this is not just an ethics question. Did you take a cup of coffee you shouldn't have taken?
Were you exposed?
This guy was subsidizing his lifestyle, and when it was revealed by the Los Angeles Times 2 decades ago, he just stopped disclosing it. And so I think Congress should investigate. I think there's all kinds of legitimate ways to hold them accountable. But one of the answers is the Supreme Court should have a binding ethics code, just the same way every other court in the United States, federal and state, does. No judge is so wise that they should be the judge in their own case.
Exactly. The new book is entitled The Supermajority: How the Supreme Court Divided America. We really appreciate your coming on. President of the Brennan Center for Justice, Michael Waldman. Good to have you. Thank you. And Politico's Eugene Daniels, thank you as well. Good to have you as always. Nice to see you.